One of the three railways that Russia intends to build that will connect to China at high speed will travel through all three nations. The goal of the nation is to quickly rebuild the home economy and fiercely expand the nation's commerce with China. Estimates for the project range above $260 billion. Undoubtedly challenging but also contentious is this endeavor. When the railway is finished, though, Russia's situation will be better and might even continue to improve. The reason Russia constructed the railway to China has a significant bearing on the state of the world today. Russia has been under pressure from a number of groups in the West and Europe for the past 2 years, and at one point in the past, its economy had begun to deteriorate. Russian natural gas's primary export market has traditionally been Europe. But this year, Europe stopped importing energy supplies from Russia, and the amount of energy that Russia exported to Europe fell by about 50%. However, at the same time, Russia saw a 63.4% growth in its natural gas shipments to China. With a population of 1.4 billion people and the highest demand in the globe, China is the biggest market in the world for any nation. Additionally, they have the China-Europe Railway Express, which is a Russian railway project. The first railway from Russia to Xinjiang is the second justification for traveling to China. Russia's territory is barely 55 kilometers away from a region of China in Xinjiang. Once completed, cross-border trading between Russia and China may be realized in 30 minutes. In addition to linking Mongolia and Kazakhstan, China's railway also connects Russia to the north. Russia intends to use this route to send ore and other raw resources to China. Since it was first introduced, this idea has received a lot of attention, and a lot of people in Europe are in favor of it. However, the railway idea has drawn criticism and inquiries from the United States. One of the causes is China's extensive rail system. A transnational train that travels through China is known as the China-Europe Railway Express. In the past, Western nations did not support this project, but now all nations want to work with China since the China-Europe Railway Express can be utilized to deliver freight in the quickest time possible. More than 10,000 trains will run in 2022, connecting more than 200 cities across 24 European nations, promoting trade between Europe and China. The primary departure location for China Europe trains this year is Xinjiang. Over 5,000 trains between China and Europe are now entering and exiting the nation. Trade between Xinjiang and European nations is active and has grown by 40 during the previous years. Russia intends to construct a railway to Xinjiang for this reason. However, building this railway is quite challenging. Despite being only 55 kilometers long, this railway was relatively challenging to construct. There are several mountains and jungles along the border. 2 bridges and 3 tunnels must be built over 55 kilometers of difficult terrain, protected regions, and ecologically sensitive places. It will take at least 2 years to build the railway if it is to be built. Russia is keen to construct a railway to China to energetically expand commerce and to make up for market share that Western nations have lost. Furthermore, we can access abundant resources that lead to other nations through China. After the railway is finished, there will unquestionably be a significant boost in Russian exports. Second, the Chinese city of Xinjiang is a popular tourist destination with a special port for agricultural goods. Agricultural products from Xinjiang have recently entered the European market, resulting in a 44.5% rise in the overall value of trade exports. The railway between Russia and Xinjiang, China, will be the quickest route between the two nations once it is opened. Second railroad, a high-speed rail project spanning 3 nations, is involved. The project was expensive and challenging to construct. The railway is 7,000 kilometers long in total. From Beijing, China, outward, Kazakhstan is the final stop before arriving at Moscow. Train travel from Russia to Beijing used to take 6 days and 5 nights. It took 2 hours to switch lines since the 2 nations' train systems aren't identical. People felt quite worn out after the entire trip. However, if the high-speed rail is constructed, it will only take 30 hours to go by train from Beijing to Moscow. Why then does America not have high-speed rail? However, Russia intends to build a high-speed rail system to China. Although it is still in regular service, Russia's Trans-Siberian Railway is the longest railway in the world, and it is already in need of renovations or repairs. High-speed rail has now arrived in Africa as well. High-speed rail is the quickest mode of transportation except airplanes, as demonstrated by its presence in China and Africa. It can spur economic growth and raise people's standards of living. In order to improve the relationship between China and Russia, Russia has chosen to usher in a new age of high-speed rail. Russia is situated in an alpine area where the local environment is rather hostile. It is exceedingly unstable and characterized by seasonal frozen earth. Despite having necessary building experience, China faces challenging local geological and climatic circumstances, as well as extraordinarily large construction distances. You aware of the project's difficulty? This enormous project. Even if it will take longer than 5 years to finish, the wait will be well worth it. China's third railway, Russia Railroad Bridge across the river. The Cross River Bridge is the first river railway bridge that connects China and Russia across international border. The project will be finished in April 2022. The railway is 6 kilometers long in total. A Sino-Russian joint enterprise constructed it. The railway connects Khabarovsk, the largest city in the Far East, west to Europe and travels from Heilongjiang, China, to Siberia. The railroad has a 21 million ton yearly freight capacity. Trade between Russia and Northeast China has surged by 45 since the railway's opening, and the logistical flow has changed from going west to China, then east. Within the context of the project, the two nations want to use the railway to create a new land grain corridor to coordinate the storage and transshipment of some grains through trade exchanges with China. The Trans-Baikal grain terminal, with an annual capacity of 8 million tons, is expected to open. Russia will raise its own economic standing, and China, too, depends on the movement of goods to market many of its own goods. Tens of millions of people in both nations now live in Russia, considerably improving their standard of life. This partnership is referred to as win-win. So what type of changes might be expected in China and Russia as a result of the railway construction? For a long time, China and Russia's collaboration has been moving in the direction of mutual gain and win-win outcome. China has pushed for tight coordination across several nations in order to create a society with a shared destiny for humanity via peace. Russia is currently experiencing a number of internal issues, and commercial exports have been halted. The only chance for Russia is China. Long-standing, stable relations between China and Russia will be very beneficial to both peoples, whether it is through access to the Chinese market or Russia's resources. Both nations are capable of progress. Additionally, Kazakhstan may benefit from a reduction in the strain on railway maintenance and operation thanks to the Sino-Russian Railways construction. Because China has launched 15,000 China-Europe trains since 2021, with half of them passing via Kazakhstan to reach Europe. After the China-Russia railway is finished, half of the trains can be used on other railways, and Russian resources can be transported to Europe via the China-Europe railway, relieving pressure on the population of that continent. Our understanding is that 7 nations led by the United States have jointly frozen the current foreign exchange reserves of the Russian Central Bank. Additionally, the SWIFT settlement system has been suggested for Russia. The United States led Western nations are getting ready to obstruct Russian funds, technology, and trade. Therefore, Russia needs railways more in order to increase their opportunities. All 3 of these cross-border railway projects require both parties' unspoken cooperation to be completed because they are in harsh environments and on difficult terrain. Many nations lack optimism about this fantastic project. Despite the fact that the project has long been divisive in Europe and the United States, Russia will continue to build the railways. The first railway and the remaining 2 routes have been finished. It might take a few years or even longer to complete, but once it does, the country will undergo significant changes, which is a positive development.